in Valpo, 63 in Gary, 70s off to our south. That's where the warm front is currently. That's slowly making its way north. The good thing for us, it's still staying to our south, keeping us stable, versus it'll surge north here in the next half an hour or so. Places like Goshen, Plymouth, Rochester's already at 70, so Plymouth and Goshen will make a run at 70 here shortly. Here's the radar. You can see that line of storms beginning to take shape, lowering our tornado risk because they're in a line, but this storm sort of aimed right at Rensselaer. That has some rotation with it right now. If you want to take a look, Zoe, in on that storm. Here you can see, so the red is away from the radar, the green is towards, and when those two are close together, that's winds going in two different directions, so that means there's a little bit of spin there. This is getting ready to enter Newton County here in the next 20 minutes or so if we want to time this out. Zoe here in a second. It's moving off to the northeast at about 55. So Iroquois, it'll be there in about 10 minutes, crossing into Indiana, Beaver at 5:30, then Iroquois, Indiana at 5:35, Newton 5:40, and then getting into Rensselaer at about 5:45. Again, this one should stay south of Valpo, continuing to move off towards the east-northeast at about 55 miles an hour. If we want to switch back over to the regular radar here and time out that line as it's getting closer to Valpo while I fix my earpiece. Zoe, there haven't been any damage reports yet that you've seen, correct?
No, not that I have seen yet, no.
Okay. So this part of the line, it's north of the warm front, so it's still in the stable air, which is why it hasn't gone severe yet. This part of the line, you might get some 30, 40 mile an hour wind gusts. It's going to be loud, maybe a little bit of hail. This will get into Valpo here in the next half an hour or so, but it'll continue to move into the better environment off to our east, closer to Plymouth, South Bend, Mishawaka, Elkhart, Goshen. Wouldn't be shocked if this continues to strengthen as it continues to move off to the east-northeast if we want to time this out.
Yes, we
here.
That the storm down near Kankakee and Rensselaer just got tornado warned.
Okay, I kind of figured it had that look to it on radar. The storm we were just on is now tornado warned. We'll get back to that in a minute. So getting into Lake Station basically now, Valpo here in about 10 minutes or so. This might be a little more of an east bias. LaPorte closer to 6 o'clock, and then Knox after 6. If we want to go back down to that southern storm, I'm going to step off here in a second, grab the iPad so I know what I'm looking at too.
All right, let's take a look at that.
So there is now a tornado warning across the state line to the storm to its south, so that storm would be south of the one that we're on. Yeah, that doesn't look great.
No, it doesn't.
That's moving off to the north and to the east. So this one, you want to shift that a little more.
That
northward, a little more. There we go. So this one might take a more of a northward turn as this one kind of takes over for it. Getting into, I'm going to step off here, getting into Belmont at 5:30, Sheldon 5:38, Kentland, this is crossing into Indiana, 5:45, Iroquois about 5 to 10 till, and then Carpenter right at 6 o'clock. That's just to the south there of Rensselaer. The line to the north really isn't showing a whole lines of intensifying. Again, that's north of the warm front. These two storms are the areas of the concern. They're south of the warm front in the warm, moist air that they have all to themselves right now as they're staying out ahead of the line. That's even farther to the south. If we want to time out the northern storm, I think that's going to go a little more north than the original track we had. That might come closer to Wheatfield, and that's a little more of a close call for us here in Valpo.
here.
So Beaver, not much has changed. 5:30, Lake Village, 5:40. Give probably 5-10 minutes of wiggle room to these times. Roselawn, 5:45. Keener, 5:50, and then Wheatfield. I think that's a straight shot down 421 at about 6 o'clock. This storm might take more of a north turn. As they get stronger, they like to turn to the right. So all of the flow sort of above our heads, several thousand feet, is off towards the northeast. When these storms, as they get stronger, they turn a little more to the east, and that allows them to get a little more of the warm, moist air and allows these storms to strengthen. Just looking at that northern section of the line, well, there's a lot of lightning getting picked up now, sort of in this little area. Not really rotating by any means, but we want to switch over to I mean, you have some red. So if anything, some heavy rain. It'll be noisy when it rolls through here in Valpo, continuing to move off to the north-northeast. They're racing at about 50, 60 miles an hour. It'll rain for probably 20 minutes. And then once this part of the line passes, I think we're done with severe weather. Kind of similar to Sunday. Once the line passes, your threat for severe weather is pretty much over, as you'll be in the cooler, stable air behind it. If we want to zoom out, take a look at the region here. We aren't the only ones dealing with severe weather. This line stretches all the way from almost Benton Harbor down to near St. Louis, area Indianapolis down to Evansville, Louisville. They're in a moderate risk. That's a level 4 out of 5 risk for severe weather. And even Paducah and Memphis, they're in a high risk. That's as high as it goes for severe weather chances from the Storm Prediction Center. If we want to zoom back in here, you can really see that one southern storm is turning more to the right. The one south of Rensselaer.
Oh, yeah. Want to go to SR?
If we want to switch over to velocity here. This one, it's kind of picking up. You can see it's a little more pronounced. It's kind of hard to tell just because it's super grainy. But the dominant circulation that's off to the south, that will be a Rensselaer problem. This northern circulation, I wouldn't be surprised if it starts to weaken as it gets north of the warm front and some of the more cooler air. We now have severe thunderstorm warnings for Benton, Jasper, and Newton counties. Those are the 3 counties directly to our south. So that's this one, the county Rensselaer's in, and county Fowler's in. Storms moving off to the northeast at 50 miles an hour, 60 mile an hour winds, and $half sized hail. So even if with this rotation, even if there isn't a tornado there, it'll increase your winds there. And that's what happened in Valpo on Sunday. It wasn't necessarily, there wasn't a tornado, but the circulation was enough to send in 80 mile an hour wind gusts into Valpo. Some areas still out of power here in town. An 81 mile an hour wind gust was registered out at the airport on Sunday.
Lucas just sent me a thing saying that there's a tornado warning in Vandalia, Illinois, and near St. Elmo until about 6 tonight.
I'm going to assume, yeah, that's one of the southern storms. That's south of Springfield. It's just to the northwest of St. Louis. You can't even see it from here. Oh, well, there it is. That's not an us problem, but that'll be an Indianapolis problem, as that'll ride I-70 over that direction. Again, our main storms of concern are now beginning to enter the state. This northern section of the line is not severe. However, Newton and Jasper counties, those 2 counties are ours, along with Stark County. Jasper and Newton counties are under severe thunderstorm warning until 6 o'clock Central Time for 60 mile an hour winds and $half sized hail. I really don't like the way that that is winding up.
No. This. Do you want to go to velocity?
Well, I mean, that's just the same as it's looking. If we want to switch back over to regular radar
Yeah.
and time that out, that's going to sort of head off in this general direction. That's going to be close call maybe for South Bend down the line. That doesn't turn any more to the east. So getting into Roselawn in about 20 minutes, 541, Keener 547, Wheatland at 555, Couts shortly after 6 o'clock, and then Knox, wow, I can English, Knox at 620. So again, these storms racing off to the north and east at 50 miles an hour. No alerts for Valpo yet. Zoe, anything that you're seeing?
I have not seen anything yet, at least from what I've seen, except for the stuff down here near Rensselaer and Watka. That's out just to the south.
Okay. If we want to switch back over to velocity, I mean, it isn't getting any better as it nears the state line. If we want to zoom in a little more on that, see if there's anything in the path, it's going to basically hit Morocco head on, and I don't know why Beaver's popping up in Morocco isn't. I have no idea what Beaver is, if it's the township or what. Okay, well, we have Beaver and Beaver in Beaver, Illinois right now, getting to Beaver, Indiana at 5:30, Enos at 5:33, and then Fair Oaks that I believe is in Jasper County. Do we want to pan up a little bit
Yeah.
on this? Yeah, so crossing into Jasper County at about 5:45-ish. This should stay south of campus. I think it's going to be a little close just because this is turning a little more to the north. Again, there's no formal tornado warning on this. If anything, it's going to increase the damaging wind potential as it'll just enhance the winds there. Maybe pick up the hail size, but there's not that much cold air right above our heads to keep the hail going. Again, this is moving off to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour.
There's a cell he said there's a cell near Woodland, Illinois that just got warned. Just south
I'm
of Beaver.
thinking it's this southern storm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the tornado warning set to continue on the southern storm
Until 5:45.
until 5:45 tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if bring that back down a little more. There you go. Getting into, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that one at 5:25. Darrow at 5:35. Sheldon at about 5:40, and then crossing into Indiana, 5:45, impacting Kentland, and then Iroquois, Indiana at about 5 till 6. This guy is the more concerning one, but I really don't like the signature on that one just because it's going to be an awfully close call to campus. Yeah. So everybody on campus, you should head back to your dorms. You shouldn't be out and about. I know it's evening, classes are out. You want to go out, grab some dinner. I would just hunker down on campus until these lines of storms pass. You're not going to want to deal with these. I don't necessarily know that we're going to lose power again, but it wouldn't hurt if you want to go ahead, charge your electronics. At this point, now that I have said
You've
that,
probably jinxed
half
us,
of Valpo
Mason.
is going to lose power
Great.
with this line of storm. Sorry, y'all. If we want to switch back over to velocity.
You mean
and
reflectivity?
Scroll up, reflectivity, yeah, that would be the word. Go back up to the north. So, I mean, he's just kind of holding together. Sub-severe, probably right on the warm front right now. We still, I don't think, have hit 60 degrees. I'm going to go back. Still sitting at 59 degrees here in Valpo. So that warm front, I think, is probably setting up right along 30. I don't know when this will update, but it should update here soon. Sitting right around 60 degrees. I said if we were going to have severe weather, we'd have to break 60 degrees. We're basically there. We were going to be in a whole lot of trouble if we broke into the 70s, like Rensselaer, Rochester have done. Plymouth will probably be soon to join in the 70s, because as soon as this warm front passes you, you're going to warm up 10 to 15 degrees as that warm front passes. So looking back here at radar, that storm continues just to wind up there in northern Newton County. No formal tornado warning on it. This is, again, moving off to the northeast at about 50 miles an hour if we want to track that out again. This should stay south of campus, but it's going to be an awfully close call, I think. Roselawn in about 20 minutes. Keener, 550. Wheatland, 557. Couts, 605. And then North Judson, that's Stark County, at about 6:15. Zoe, anything that you're seeing?
Not yet. Just those 2 tornado warnings down in Illinois and now crossing over into Indiana are still set to continue for the next little bit.
Southern storm, these storms out ahead of it have really fired in the last 15, 20 minutes. I wonder if that's going to begin to sort of choke these guys off, and then you can already see a nice bow echo beginning to form down there by Paxton. That spells trouble for Oak Grove, Carpenter, Monticello, Winnemac. That will eventually move up towards Rochester. Zoe, if you want to track that out, I'll step out here.
Yes. It's looking like it'll be making its way.
Getting into Waseca. I think that's
Wateska.
how you pronounce
Watseka.
that. About 10
It's
till
Watseka.
Hoopston, about 5:51. Rensselaer, 6:21. Getting into Winnemac there in the Eastern time at 7:53, and then Plymouth after 8 o'clock tonight. Zoe, if you want to take over for a minute for me.
Yeah. So it's looking like for Valpo, thankfully, unlike on Saturday, we're looking like we're having there's less of a chance that the severe stuff should hit. It'll be a close call, especially with this storm down here near Rensselaer. If it continues to turn further to the north, it could become more of a problem. But currently, it looks like our main issue is going to be this line of storms that is just south of Gary. That'll kind of make its way into our area in the next little bit. But we're going to continue to watch these 2 tornado-warned storms just to our south as they continue to make their way back into our area and places just south.
We have a couple of our folks in the control room are going outside to investigate. I was getting a couple text messages from some of my coworkers in the pharmacy and at Meyer here in Valpo. They're beginning to hear thunder rumbling. That's just from the northern portion of the line nearing. That doesn't surprise me because, I mean, they're not severe by any means, but they're probably going to be pretty noisy.
Oh, yes.
As they roll through here. That storm down there by Woodland, that just looks like a mess. I think this northern storm might be the one that's starting to take over. Really wound up. You can really just tell that it's rotating in there. That's nearing Morocco. It's actually there now. It'll continue to move off to the northeast if we want to track that out. Should stay south of campus. I don't think this is a Valpo problem, but it's going to be a little close. It'll probably get near Wheatfield and Couts. So Enos basically there now. Woodland 542, Keener 549, Wheatland at 556, and then getting into Couts shortly after 6 o'clock. The morning rain, that really helped us today. I think if we saw as much sunshine as portions of central Indiana saw today, we were going to be in a whole world of trouble here. But thankfully, we had the clouds, the drizzle. It just didn't feel great if you walked outside. It was kind of miserable walking around in classes today. That really saved us from really this being the case with most of the storms forming. If we want to switch over to velocity here.
Yes.
Get rid of that storm track. I mean, that's just kind of noisy. There's
Yeah.
some rotation there, like right over Beaver. That'll continue to move off to the northeast. Basically center line for Wheatfield right now. Wow, voice crack. And then that'll move up towards Couts after 6 o'clock. That southern storm just to the south, that just looks messy as everything's just kind of blobbing together down there, which I kind of figured was going to happen. We didn't see a whole lot of sunshine up here. It's warm as all get out, but again, the saving grace was it rained up until like 2 o'clock today.
We just heard that someone who's out, one of our crew members just went outside and that it is warmer, but that there is no storms just yet.
Okay, so they didn't hear thunder or anything.
Yeah, no.
Okay. We want to scroll back north. I think it's trying to pump out some wind. Not really trying. I mean, you can see some of the brighter greens. That wind's probably 30, 40 miles an hour. Nothing super major, but we have wind gusts 25 to 30 miles an hour right now. What's another 10 miles an hour to that? That'll continue to move off to the northeast. That might be a Chesterton issue, actually.
Yeah.
It's moving more off to the north and to the east, so that southern storm might be a move a little too close to come for us here. In Merrillville, it's basically there now. Hobart in about 10 minutes, 5:39. Lake Station, 5:42. Liberty, that's basically Portage, Chesterton, Liberty Township up there, 5:49, and then Winchester at 5:51. That portion of the line is going to continue to move off to the north and to the east at about 50, 55 miles an hour. So again, this line is booking it. Once this line passes, our severe weather threat is basically over for the evening. I'm really glad that we're in northwest Indiana and not in north central Indiana, because this whole thing would be an us problem. With the exception of this storm, I think we're pretty much fine. This storm has a history of rotation. There isn't a formal tornado warning with it currently. That'll continue to move over portions of northern Newton County into northern Jasper County, clipping southeastern Porter County before LaPorte County eventually, and that'll continue to move off towards Plymouth, Bremen. That's basically right where this 331 is in the upper right portion of your screen. Zoe, any updates from you?
No, not that I have seen. No new tornado warnings. And then they are saying that they're going to continue that tornado warning for Woodland, which is right about to cross into it's that storm we're talking about down here in Watsika. They're going to continue that till 5:45. But other than that, no new warnings per se. There are severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for both Newton and Jasper County until 6 o'clock tonight. It's looking like the hazards are going to be the 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and the half-dollar size hail. But other than that, no new updates and no storm reports.
Okay. So, I mean, no new news is good news, I guess, in this situation. I'm continuing to keep an eye on that northern storm. I just don't like it. It's holding on to its rotation long enough, and it's really jogged to the north here in the last frame or two.
Oh, yeah.
I still think this stays to the south of campus. I think it might be a little close for comfort. I think that's a Couts-Wanata issue, not necessarily a Valpo proper issue, if we want to time that out again.
Yep.
Again, sort of moving off in this general direction. Roselawn in about 10 minutes, 5:41. Keener, 5:47. Wheatfield, 5:55. Couts just after 6. And then Dewey at about 6:10. Not formally with a tornado warning, but I mean, it's spinning at least, so that'll enhance the damaging wind threat. And that southern storm really just is kind of messy.
Yes.
At this point, they're going to continue it until 5:45. This storm moving off to the north and east at about 45 miles an hour. So this is going to be a Rensselaer. It'll be close to Winnemac. I think Maderryville, Francisville, that's going to be a you guys issue. And then that'll be Plymouth and then Goshen eventually down the line, probably 8:30. So just a heads up there, South Bend, Goshen, Plymouth, Warsaw. You have until about 8 o'clock, and then it's your turn to get in on the action. This line of storms. No tornado warnings in the state of Indiana. Lots of severe thunderstorm warnings. Severe thunderstorm warning for Newton, Jasper, and I believe it's Benton County until 6 o'clock Central or 7 o'clock Eastern, because Benton is Eastern time because we're special here in Northwest Indiana and have to be Central time. Everything moving off to the northeast at about 50-55. Okay, now we're starting to see lightning as our folks are hopping in and out of the control room and going outside. That's what happens when you have a whole bunch of meteorology majors running coverage. This storm is not going to be an us problem. I think I can say that safely. We might be missed by these storms, so we're just going to get like the leftover rain behind it. Again, areas north of Valpo, you're stable. The warm front hasn't rolled through yet. It's really sort of sitting along US 30 or along and south of US 6 right now. That'll try to move northward as the evening goes on. But again, these storms are going to prevent it from moving north of Valpo. And then these guys are going to be a South Bend, Elkhart, Plymouth, Warsaw, Goshen issue come 8, 9 o'clock tonight Eastern. We want to switch back over to velocity. It's still trying there, still a little bit of rotation. This again moving off to the north and east. That'll clip portions of Porter County and then move into southern LaPorte County. So Couts and Wanata, that's your heads up after 6 o'clock. You're going to have this guy coming at you. A lot of lightning with it, and can't show you lightning on here, but a lot of lightning has been picked up. Zoe, any reports from that southern storm?
Not that I've seen in the last little bit. No, it's just that they're having this continue for a little bit until 5:45, and then we'll see if they continue it into portions of northwest Indiana.
Okay, if anything.
If anything.
I think it's only a matter of time before Pulaski and Stark County get added to some sort of warning here in the next 20 minutes or so as these storms continue to move into the area. Tornado warnings galore now in southern Illinois. Those aren't an us issue. That'll be an Indianapolis, central Indiana issue. So if you have friends and family in Indy come 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight, they'll be having a rough ride to deal with down there. This is just turning into one big mess. That's going to be really hard to warn for, which is why I think the main threat is going to be damaging straight line winds and not necessarily the strong long track tornadoes like areas to the south are going to have to worry about, just because it's going to kind of turn into a blob. Could something spin up? Sure. But it's going to be quick. It'll only last for a couple frames and then it'll be gone again. We call those like whack-a-mole tornadoes. And I would just treat any severe thunderstorm warning as a tornado warning tonight, just out of respect for the atmosphere that we have in place. They just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of LaPorte, Stark, Marshall, Fulton, Pulaski, northern White, and northern Cass County, Indiana for 60-mile-an-hour winds. Sorry, I had a brain freeze there. For 60-mile-an-hour winds and 1.25 inch size hail. That's for this big mess in here. We'll see if anything sort of takes shape out of it, but this is just going to be one big heavy rainfall producer as it continues to move off to the north and to the east at about 50, 55 miles per hour. If we want to track sort of just this whole segment of the line out off to the north and east. So getting into North Judson at about 5:51, Knox at 6:01, Plymouth 7:21, Eastern Time, Dunlap, that's Concord Township, 7:43, and then Goshen at about 5 till 8. So this is heads up. It's only 6:40 over there. You got a while. So this is on track to head directly for you guys. And then we're already seeing a little bit of a bow as that southern stuff behind it will continue to move off to the north and east. It's going to be a nice heavy rainfall maker for portions of the state over there, but not really an us issue. If we want to zoom in on that northern storm north of Rensselaer and switch back over to velocity. It's not as pronounced, still a little noisy, so some broad rotation. I can see why they upped the hail. Surprised they didn't up the winds. Wouldn't be shocked if this squeezes out some 65 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts as that continues to lift off to the north and to the east. If we want to track this out again, I feel like I kind of sound like I'm a broken record, and it's going to be in Roselawn probably right about now. Deer Park 5:53, Wheatfield basically 6 o'clock, North Judson 6:15, Knox shortly before 6:30, and then Kankakee at about 6:40 or so. No issues for campus right now. All of the issues are kind of staying off to the south. Then we have some storms moving off to the north affecting Portage, South Haven, and Chesterton. Those are sub-severe. Noisy, sure. It's this guy right here, so this will continue to lift off to the north and east. That'll be a Michigan City, then a New Buffalo, and Benton Harbor problem. The air north of the Indiana-Michigan state line, it's stable. They're stuck in the low 50s, if not the 40s at this point. That warm front never made it north of the state line today, which is why the main threat for severe weather stayed to our south here. Our threat isn't zero. We have severe thunderstorm warnings basically for all of the counties to our south, including LaPorte County, until 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. So as soon as this line clears, Stark County will end our coverage tonight. Again, that warning is for 60-mile-an-hour winds and half-dollar-sized hail. It's really just kind of turning into a mess down there.
Yes.
Not really any rotation with that southern storm anymore, which is why I think they're just opting to continue it with a severe thunderstorm warning, as that will probably start to bow out here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Wouldn't be shocked if that produces some 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts. The warning's for 60 miles an hour. I just wouldn't be surprised if it overachieves a little bit, as that northern storm, it's just kind of fallen apart. That stuff to the south kind of choked it off like I thought it would. Anything that you're seeing currently, Zoe?
No, just a lot of the activity has been, like you said, kept to our south and parts of southern Illinois and Kentucky and parts of like southeastern Missouri. There's quite a bit of activity down there, but thankfully, because that warm front hasn't lifted up, like you said, we've been kind of spared the brunt of the severe weather.
Yeah, again, if it had not been for the rain and drizzle today and the multiple rounds of showers and storms, I very well think that we could be dealing with the issue that portions of southern Illinois and central and southern Indiana will be dealing with tonight. So count your blessings that it isn't going to be that bad up here, and we hope that it doesn't get too bad downstate, but it might be a long night for our friends down south. Again, focusing back in on the line, rolling through portions of Newton, Jasper, and Benton counties. No real rotation down there. It's just kind of attempting to bow out here. Damaging winds is going to become the main threat here in the next probably half hour or so, as this will continue to lift off to the north and to the east. Rensselaer, you're probably having a pretty loud evening right about now. Lots and lots of lightning with these storms. We need the rain, so we're getting the heavy rain, maybe some hail in that. Any hail reports out of this?
I have not seen any near us yet, but let me just double check to see if. Yeah, no, I haven't seen any quite yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if some start rolling in soon.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be shocked if we start seeing some hail reports just with some of the bright reds and maroons and almost pinks in here. Wouldn't be shocked if we have some smaller hail in there. This will continue again to lift off to the north and to the east. Little storm starting to develop just off to our southwest here in Valpo. That isn't severe by any means, but that'll continue to lift off to the north and to the east at about 50 miles an hour. Everything's zooming tonight, so as soon as the main batch passes you, your severe weather threat is over. The cool down will begin. Tomorrow we'll be stuck in the low 50s. I think we probably hit our high temperature for the day shortly after midnight, as the colder air will begin to filter in on the backside of the system here. But yeah, no real signs of rotation if we want to switch back over to velocity.
Yes.
That's good news, because that one storm, yeah, there's like.
Oh, we're on the other radar. There we go.
I think that's kind of noisy.
That's noise, yeah.
Right on 65. That'll continue to lift off to the north and to the east, getting into Couts. and then into southern LaPorte County shortly
Oh,
after.
Okay. Let's try that again. There we go.
There we go. So Deer Park, about 5:55. Wheatfield, shortly after 6. Couts, 6:10. Dewey, 6:15. Wanata, if this moves a little more north and east, at about 6:21. So not really any tornado threat up on our part of the state, just because I still think we're north of that warm front. I think it got hung up along and south of US 30.
We're just north of it, just a little bit. But it's cutting it close.
Yeah, I don't think we got into it here in Valpo. Let me step off for a minute. I'll grab my clicker and we'll see if we've warmed any. We were sitting right around 60 degrees. Let's see if we actually hit it. Oh, we broke it. How about that? We finally broke 60 degrees as my earpiece falls out for like the 1 millionth time. We broke 60 degrees here in Valpo. So the warm front's nearby. I don't think it's going to blow north of here. Michigan City sitting at 57 degrees. This just doesn't scream severe weather today. I mean, Rochester, Rensselaer, you're in the low 70s, so your severe weather threat is higher just because you're warmer. Again, I think the severe weather threat is going to stay along and south of the Indiana-Michigan state line. That warm front's just going to have a really hard time making it any farther north than that. Going back over here to radar, it's really just turning into one big mess south of us. I do not envy our friends at the National Weather Service in northern Indiana.
They allowed that tornado warning near Watseka to expire, and they put a special weather statement in effect instead.
Okay.
Or severe weather.
I kind of figured because there wasn't anything down there, just a bunch of noise.
Yes.
At this point, that northern circulation really isn't there much anymore either. Maybe some gusty winds with it as that storm will move into extreme southeastern Porter County before moving into LaPorte County. Severe thunderstorm warning remaining in effect for the counties to our south, Newton, Jasper, and Benton counties until 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern, and then for portions of White, Cass, Fulton, Pulaski, Stark, LaPorte, and Marshall counties, you're in a severe thunderstorm warning until 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, as this portion of the line continues to lift off to the north and to the east. All of these storms firing out ahead of it, I think, is going to keep the tornado threat relatively low with this portion of the line. If anything, we're transitioning from a tornado threat over towards damaging wind threat as this line continues to lift off to the north and to the east. Just to our south, we want to scroll back up to Valpo, got a nice little shower rolling over us now. Really isn't any lightning associated with this. This will continue to move off to the northeast. This will be a Westville, Michigan City. It might clip part of LaPorte here over the next half an hour, but the severe threat just is low along and north of US 30. If we want to switch back over to velocity towards that southern part of the line, we have a little something beginning to spin up at Rensselaer.
There's some flooding just south of South Bend in Lakeville, Indiana.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me. So some probably lowland flooding just from all of the rain that they've had over there today, because they got the brunt of the storms this morning, and now they're seeing a little more rain now. But the sun did peak out, and I had friends and family texting me back from the Goshen and the Elkhart area saying they had sunny and blue skies about an hour and a half ago. So their severe weather threat is low, but it's increasing as they begin to sort of destabilize the atmosphere, warm up, sort of give some fuel for these storms to work with as they continue to move over into that portion of the state. This sky has really spun up south of Rensselaer in the last really 5 minutes or so. That'll continue to move off to the north and east, probably impact Rensselaer, and then It's going to be close to Francisville and Madeiryville. It might split the difference there and continue moving off to the north and east over there if we want to
Time it out.
track this guy off.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so Rensselaer, you got about 10 minutes. I would head to your safe place now. I really don't like the way that looks on radar with the reds and greens so close together. Barkley, 6:10. Francisville, 7:17. Eastern, White Post, 7:20. Rich Grove, about 7:30.
Rock.
Okay, and another one of our guys. Maybe a little bit there. It's kind of noisy, if anything. I think that's going to just enhance your damaging winds there. Not necessarily. I'm not impressed with that rotation right now, but another area that we're going to have to watch down there in southern Newton County. That's right over the community of Brook there on Indiana 16. That runs, that's east-west from Brook towards Monon, and then that sort of dead ends at 39, the north-south there in central Pulaski County. That circulation, it's continuing to ramp up as it lifts off to the north and east. So Rensselaer, Collegeville, St. Francis of Indiana is located in Rensselaer. Everybody there should be in their safe place. That's most interior room of your house. You should not be in a mobile home or bathroom. Get into a bathroom. Most interior room of your house or a basement if you have it. If you're driving, I would pull off at like the nearest convenience store or gas station, and I'd head into the bathroom there. Really don't like the way that this guy is looking, and it's out ahead of the line with nothing to the south of it either, so it has all of that warm air to itself that'll continue to lift off to probably the north-northeast. It'll impact Rensselaer here in the next 10 minutes or so. Yeah, that's a good one right there. Rensselaer, basically 6 o'clock, so you have 5 minutes. Everybody in Rensselaer, head to your safe place. Barkley at about 6:10, Gillum at 6:15, White Post that's in the Eastern time at 7:20, and then Dunn's Bridge in northern Jasper County at 6:26 p.m. I don't think there's anything on CC. There's not. So
Well, that's good.
just an area of spin here if we want to get rid of the storm track.
Yes.
And that's kind of up there.
Oh. You want me to time that one out too, or?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Continuing to move off to the north and to the east. So this one, Newton, 6:05. You got about 10 minutes. Barkley, 6:15. Walker, 6:21. Wheatfield, 6:24. And then Railroad at 6:33. 2 areas of rotation we're watching. One where the track is at, and another one. This will impact the city of Rensselaer. That's another college town. You have St. Francis of Indiana there in town. Everybody in Rensselaer, in Collegeville, where St. Francis is, should be in their safe place. Nobody should be out and about there on campus of St. Francis. That circulation will continue to lift off to the north and to the east. We want to switch back over to reflectivity.
Yes. Oh.
I mean, it doesn't look like it on reflectivity. You can kind of see the little kidney bean type shape to it. For Valpo, there's really nothing going on for us here. Everything's kind of just staying to our south. It'll probably rain pretty good here for the next hour or so. We do have some development I'm beginning to note back by Cedar Creek. I don't expect that to be severe. It's back behind the main action of the severe thunderstorms, and that just has all the access to the warm, moist air there. There are no tornado warnings behind this, so once this goes through, our severe weather threat is pretty much over for the evening. Anything that you're seeing, Zoe?
No, not yet. Just that storms, those 2 that we were looking at down here near Rensselaer, those are the 2 that seem to be the hot spots for rotation right now.
There was a report of some small branches broken north of Wheatfield. field. I don't know what that would have been in association to. There's not really all that strong winds up there. But again, the main concern right now is the circulation beginning to come into the city of Rensselaer in southern Jasper County if we want to move back south.
Yes.
If we want to zoom in a little tighter on that. You have Jordan to the south. So Jordan, you're safe. You're south of the circulation. And that guy's going to continue to come up on the city of Rensselaer. Everybody in Rensselaer, in Collegeville, and on St. Francis's campus should be in their safe place. And then we also note the second area of rotation just to the west of the leading one. That one would also be heading in the general direction of Rensselaer. Mount Eyre, you should be in your safe place. Rensselaer, you should be in your safe place. That circulation is now moving through the southern portion of Rensselaer right now. The circulation to the west isn't as strong. It's more broad down there. I really think that it's transitioning more towards a damaging wind threat here, and this storm is out ahead of the line, which is why it's spinning up right now over Rensselaer. And there's no CC drop if we want to switch over to that.
Yes.
Real quick. So these reds, that would be like rain. Red is good in this situation. It would be if there was a blue ball in the middle of all of these reds right where we have that circulation. That's the radar beam being shot back to the radar with the lower value saying that, hey, this isn't rain, and that could be debris in the air, and there's really nothing there. So if we want to switch back over to reflectivity, just one big mess there. Again, the circulation right on the southern edge of that red moving through Rensselaer right now. We want to switch back over to velocity because I think that just updated. Or maybe not, it should. A second though. Circulation basically over Rensselaer now. That'll continue to lift off to the north and east. Barkley, this is your heads up. It's coming in your direction. If it holds together, you should be in your safe place. Hanging Grove, you should probably be in your safe place as well, and that would be a Francisville, and Maderryville is right behind our banner here. Continuing to lift this area of circulation, continuing to lift off to the north and to the east. The severe thunderstorm warning continuing for portions of Newton and Jasper County, but now they have a tornado possible tag, probably for the circulations we've been talking about here for the last half an hour or so that have really kind of spun up, then they've weakened, and then they've kind of come back again. This circulation's now on the eastern edge of Rensselaer. This will continue to lift off to the north and east. So if you want to zoom out a little bit and time that out.
Let's do that.
I'm going to step off for a minute and grab a drink of water. I'm going to take over for a moment.
Yeah, so this little couplet near Rensselaer, it's looking like it'll be in Rensselaer basically now. Near Barkley in about 10 minutes. And then by the time it'll be in White House in the next 20, followed by areas like Rich Grove and North Judson in the next half an hour. So we will continue to monitor that as it continues to move off the north and east. Let's look at reflectivity. Yeah, it's just a giant blob of rain, of heavy rain from areas like Couts all the way down there to near Carpenter. Well, Carpenter's a little lighter, but like in Rensselaer, all the way far as back to areas like Beaver. But here in Valpo, we've got this. Some of the heavier bands are about to kind of start moving their way through, but we should all kind of be sticking around for the next little bit. See, there's everything. I would be, Mason, what do you think about this, the Cedar Creek, this heavier band of rain near Cedar Creek? It's looking like it's starting to continue to make that northeasterly track, so it might just clip us a little bit.
That's probably on the center line for us here in Valpo. Again, this is behind this main line, So I don't think it'll be severe by any stretch of the imagination. Might be a little loud when it rolls through here if it can strengthen a little bit. But if anything, that's just some heavier rain that'll work its way into Valpo here. That circulation continuing to strengthen as it pulls away from Rensselaer. I'd be really interested here in the next 15 minutes or so to see if we hear any reports of damage in Rensselaer. This will continue to move off to the north and east. This is about to be a Pulaski County issue, and then that'll get into Stark if it holds together. Marshall County, that's a ways away. If we want to track this guy out,
Yeah.
I'm kind of waiting for the warning to come out at this point. Moving off to the northeast at 55. So Gillum, 6:13. White Post, that's in the eastern time zone, at 6:18. North Judson, 6:30. California, 6:36. And then Knox at 6:40. If this continues on the track that it's on, the storm staying just out ahead of the main line. It's got all of that warm, moist air. You're sitting in the low to mid 70s to the south of this. And then the warm front to the north with the cooler air over us here in Valpo. Let's see, is there a CC drop on this?
No.
Oh, if we want to switch back over to velocity. So this area of rotation, it has crossed over 231, beginning to close in on 49, lifting off to the northeast. It's going to split the difference between Maderryville and Francisville and move into portions of west central Pulaski County, and then that'll continue to move off to the north and east at about 50, 55 miles an hour. And they just pulled the trigger on that tornado warning.
Okay.
I think that's the right call there.
Yes.
So we now have a tornado warning for this circulation here for portions of east central Jasper County until 6:30. That'll probably even be out of Jasper County by 6:30. A severe thunderstorm was capable of producing a tornado near Rensselaer, moving off to the northeast at 55 miles an hour. That's another thing with storms. Sometimes, we stand here, we talk, they're moving at about 40 to 45. You have a little time to react. These guys are flying at 55, 60 miles an hour today, so there's not a lot of reaction time as these storms move your direction, and there's even some broad rotation beginning to move back into Rensselaer on that southern portion of the line, so that's going to be interesting to see if anything comes of that. There, it's broad. If anything, that portion of the line is continuing to bow out. Should be interesting to see how long this guy is able to stay out ahead of it before the line catches up to it. But again, tornado warning now for portions of east central Jasper County. There isn't one confirmed on the ground, but we've been tracking the circulation for the last, 15, 20 minutes. So we were just being told in our ear that there's another tornado warning.
The Gifford one is this. It's the same one.
Okay.
Because the Gifford is just northeast of Rensselaer and Collegeville.
Okay. So the Gifford's probably Barkley.
Probably.
Why Barkley is on my map, not Gifford, beyond me. Anyway, so this circulation's continuing to move off to the north and east towards White Post. That'll split the difference. Oh, hi, Northwester. Okay, and they're continuing the severe thunderstorm warning for Winnemac, Knox, over towards Plymouth. There was a tornado confirmed in Marshall County from Sunday's storms over by Ancilla College in Donaldson. It was an EF1, so area is recovering from that. Now you have this guy basically aimed in the same area. This guy just won't move away.
I know.
It's going to continue to lift off to the north and to the east. Thankfully, I'm not seeing a debris signature on radar, so that's good news here, that it isn't necessarily on the ground picking up anything. But
you want me to pick up CC?
Yeah, if you want to take that. Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah, no.
So this will continue to move off to the north and to the east. If we want to zoom out a little bit and switch back over to reflectivity.
Yes.
Zoom out a little more. Let's try to get South Bend in the picture. There we go. We want to just time this part of the line out off to the north and to the east to get our South Bend, Plymouth, Goshen friends a feel for timing there. That might be a little bit far north. There we go. Getting into west at about 7:23, Plymouth 7:30, Concord at about 8 o'clock, Sturgis 8:30, and then Colon, Michigan at 8:35. If we want to go ahead and zoom back closer in on that circulation in eastern Jasper County. Continuing
you can even see it on
up. You can even see it when you're this far zoomed out.
On this radar,
yeah.
The farther east radar.
And that's a strong circulation if North Webster's picking it up.
Yep.
So this guy is going to continue to lift off to the north and to the east, impacting White Post. I wouldn't be shocked if North Webster continues this into Stark and Pulaski counties here in the coming minutes. We've been tracking this circulation. We don't have any confirmed reports of a tornado on the ground. I know VUTV, the Valparaiso Storm Intercept team, they were in western Illinois today. They were near Bloomington. I don't know where they're at currently, but they probably could have just stayed put today and hopped on this guy about an hour to our south. This will continue to lift off to the north and to the east. This is going to be close for Knox. If it continues on the path, that's good right there if you want to move the box for me.
Yes.
So I'm not blocking it ahead.
There we go.
White Post at about 7:18, North Judson 6:30, California 6:15, not 6:15, 6:35, Knox 6:39, and then Oregon at 6:45. So it just won't go away.
Yeah.
An area of rotation. Again, nothing confirmed, just radar indicated. The greens would be going towards the radar, the reds going away from each other. When they're really close together, that means there's a little spin going on in the storm. And it's really kept itself together, if you want to loop this once.
Yes.
Here over the last half an hour or so. You can see that lead circulation just kind of died after it hit the north of the warm front. And this guy's still south of it. That'll continue to lift off to the north and to the east. I wouldn't be surprised if it starts to move a little more east, but that line behind it is starting to catch up to it. It's going to be interesting to see if that plays any role in it. Zoe, any reports of damage or anything on the ground to the south of us?
Not yet. I haven't seen any damage reports yet. They are continuing this the severe thunderstorm warning for areas like Roselawn and Couts until 6:30. So that's gonna continue to be an issue. Let's look at that on reflectivity. Yeah, it's still a blob. But look at the coalition for this storm. So let me move the other radar. Okay, so they're continuing this tornado warning for this couplet here, this little red dot that is currently moving just over Indiana 14, just past 49 until 6:30. Still nothing on.
That's a little suspicious there. That might be. Switch back
something.
over to velocity.
Yes.
That's a little displaced. So that's a little suspicious low. So that might be beginning to pick up something. I mean, I don't know that there's really a whole lot out there, just because just this portion of Jasper County is just very rural, and even western Pulaski County and Stark County is relatively rural outside of North Judson, which is just to the south of whatever railroad is. Circulation continuing, and now they have issued a tornado warning. So tornado warning now for the city of North Judson, Knox, Bass Lake, Madairyville. This is basically right near Madairyville if you want to zoom in a little tighter on this, Zoe.
Yes. Oop.
So you have Indiana 421, it's right over Gillum. There's White Post there. Madairyville's basically right here. Not a super big town, less than 1,000 people living there, but everybody in Madairyville should be in their safe place right now. As this storm continues to lift off to the north and to the east, Zoe, if you want to zoom out a little bit and get a storm track on this, because this is going to be awfully close for Knox. This might be a Plymouth issue, but generally lifting off to the northeast if it doesn't turn a little more to the east with time.
Okay.
There. North Judson, you got about 15 minutes, 6:25. Aldine, 6:30. Knox, 6:36. And then we get into the eastern time zone. West, 7:48. Plymouth, right about 8 o'clock, basically. Severe weather threat, in my opinion, is greatest along and south of 30 and east of US 31. That's just because
Kaylee just said that winds have picked up and it has gotten darker outside.
Okay, well that makes sense just because we have some of the heavier rain coming in. To Valpo here, if we want to take a minute and just reset, zoom out, get a view of sort of just everybody in our area. We have a special weather statement for the sky just to the north of Michigan City, some gusty winds, some small hail associated with that. The main concern has been to the south of Valpo, where we have that active tornado warning. The circulation went right through Rensselaer. I think it's going to be really interesting to see if we have any damage reports coming out of Rensselaer, Collegeville, or St. Francis down there in southern Jasper County. That circulation continuing to lift off to the north and east, and has prompted a tornado warning for portions of Pulaski and Stark counties. That's part of the South Bend TV market, but it's close enough to us. A lot of us know people that live over there. That'll lift off to the north and to the east. Going to be interesting to see where this guy shakes out as the line gets closer to it, and honestly might just kind of absorb the line itself. Is this guy still out ahead of it? This is weakening. Might be more of a damaging wind threat to our south in Fowler, but again, the saving grace up here from it being as bad in the south along the Mississippi River and along the Ohio River across portions of southern Illinois, Indiana, western Kentucky, Tennessee, eastern Arkansas, southeastern Missouri, is that we didn't see a lot of sunshine today, and that kept us stable for the most part. Where we have the tornado warning, they saw more sunshine. Areas along and south of US 30 had more sunshine today, so they have more energy for the storms to work with, and that's why we have the tornado warning. You can see the storm, it kind of has a little hook, that little notch down here, just off to the north and east of Rensselaer. If we want to switch back over to velocity here, get a better feel. Still very tight couplet. Everybody in Madairyville should be in their safe place. It's basically over you now. This will continue to lift off to the north and east. This is going to be a really, really, really close call for Knox. Everybody in Knox, Bass Lake, North Judson should be in their safe place right now as the circulation continues to lift off to the north and east. It went right through Rensselaer. I don't have any confirmed reports of damage right now, but this storm has a history of producing rotation. It's ahead of the line. This part, this red, is the line behind it. And it'll continue to lift off to the north and to the east. It's holding its own. And I'm wondering if it's going to start interacting with the warm front, and that's not going to help, as the warm front will act as a little extra spin in the atmosphere. Zoe, still no word on anything out of Rensselaer yet, correct?
No, not yet. I haven't been able to see anything yet.
Okay, so they have extended the tornado warning again into portions of northwestern Pulaski County and into portions of south central Stark County until 7:45 Eastern, 6:45 Central. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located basically right over Maderryville, or 11 miles southeast of Wheatfield. This guy is moving at 65 miles an hour, so you're not going to have a lot of lead time here. Tornado, and you might have some half-dollar size hail associated with this storm. Even if there isn't a tornado on the ground, it's going to at least cause some gusty winds. So even if there isn't a tornado, you're still going to have some strong straight line winds with this. The winds, they're spinning clearly. That'll cause some damage, knock some limbs off of trees. Heads up for Plymouth, you're probably going to secure any loose objects in your yard, because these guys, I think eventually it'll transition over to a damaging wind threat. But until then, we have this spin up tornado threat out ahead of the main line. I'm going to continue to watch this lead storm. Zoe, if you want to take over for a moment.
Yes, let's take a look at the DC for this storm. There's a little bit of a couplet like right here, but other than that, I'm not seeing much of anything. That front, let's look at reflectivity. Lots of heavy rain. This part of the line is really starting to bow out more, so I think as it continues to move off to the north and east, it's going to be more of a straight line wind threat as it moves off that way. Here in Valpo, looks like there's a little bit of some heavier rain that's about to head over campus for a little bit. But other than that, it looks like the rest, the next hour or so, we're going to have to deal with some light to moderate rain. There is still, I believe, a severe thunderstorm warning for areas just 2 hours south in Fowler. Oh, that's a little farther south. So there's a severe thunderstorm warning, including Fowler, which is just to our south here. Just a little bit out of our area, but that will continue for another next half hour, 25 minutes or so. And then that severe thunderstorm warning for areas up here near Wheatfield, which was, I believe, for this part of the storm, that's going to continue until 6:30 with 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, a quarter-sized hail, and I believe that this still has and then that should be it. And yes, that's it. They took off the tornado possible tag on that one. Oh, no, they didn't. It's on there still.
If we want to switch back over to velocity
yes.
here. And if we want to just drag it over, that way I'm not blocking the rotation. So this is coming from North Webster, so it's a little higher up, but you can still clearly see. So the reds are away, greens are towards the radar. It's right on the Pulaski-Stark County border. This will continue to live off to the north and east. Knox, you need to be in your safe place right now. This is basically center line for you. Bass Lake, which is basically at this juncture here where US 35 and US 10 meet there in southern Stark County. You should also be in your safe place. This will continue to lift off to the north and east. If it can hold together, this is going to be a close call for the city of Plymouth eventually. Come after 8 o'clock, that'll lift off to the north and east. It's coming close to the warm front, which I think it's going to be really interesting to see what it does if it continues and the warm front continues to lift off to the north very slowly, or if it gets north of the warm front and weakens rather rapidly. And that's kind of what the storms did as they neared Valpo. We've been cool. All of the rain here in Valpo really decreased our severe weather threat. But areas south of 30, they're warm, they're unstable. You're in the upper 60s to low to mid 70s, so the air is really primed for the severe weather down there. That couplet continues. It's basically right on North Judson. North Judson, you got about 5 minutes. You need to be in a most interior room of your house, whether that's a closet or a bathroom, and then a basement if you have it. And this circulation continues to move off to the north and east. North Judson, you're next. Knox, and then it'll continue off to Plymouth. I'm going to step off so Zoe can draw this.
Yep.
North Judson, you got less than 5 minutes. 6:23. Knox 6:34. West 7:46. Plymouth just before 8. 7:51. And then La Paz, that's where US 6 and US 31 meet in southern St. Joe County at 7:55. So this has been the storm of concern. We've been tracking it for the last half an hour or so. It moved right over Rensselaer, and it really strengthened and hasn't showed any signs of stopping. It's out ahead of the main line. It has all of the warm, moist air to itself, which is why it's doing what it's doing. Again, North Judson, you need to be in your safe place now. Knox, you should also be in your safe place. Bass Lake, this might stay just to your north. I would head to your safe place just out of respect for it. There's no rotation to the south. As a matter of fact, the southern storms, that just seems like a damaging wind threat. Well, actually, if we want to zoom out, go down towards Remington. That's south of Rensselaer. Little something trying to get going down there. Remington is basically Carpenter, so you have Carpenter, you have Jordan. That'll continue to lift off to the north and east, clipping portions of northwestern White County, northwest of Monticello. Straight line winds, the main threat here, but we're going to have to keep an eye on this area of some broad rotation. Main area of concern continues to be that storm just to the southwest of Knox, right over North Judson, if we want to pan back over there. It isn't as impressive just because we're looking at this from North Webster. That's quite a ways away. Chicago's a little closer. Let's see. There's no CC drop, so that's good news there. But it's still very wound up. Matter of fact, it's going to update here in a second. It's right over North Judson. This is just a little old. It'll update here in a moment or two. It's right over the city of North Judson. That'll lift off to the north and to the east. Knox, you're next. You need to be in your safe place in Knox, in and Bass Lake. There we go. Red is away, green is towards. When those two are close together and kind of bright like they are, that tells me that there's some spin in the air. And this has really held itself together the last half an hour, 45 minutes or so. This will continue to lift off to the north and to the east. I feel like this is drifting a little more to the north than to the east here. Zoe, if you want to loop like the last 15 minutes or so. There should be like a drop-down box that says like last 4 hours.
Yes, I found it. Okay, there we go.
Like it, choose a shorter time. So you can see continuing to lift off to the north. I wouldn't be shocked if it tries to turn a little more to the right again like it did in Rensselaer as the couplet was strengthening, and it's starting to strengthen again just looking at it from Chicago. Valpo, no issues. It's raining. It might be a little loud, but the severe threat is pretty low, if not zero at this point. Along and south of 30 right now, we have an active tornado warning for portions of Pulaski and Stark counties until 7:45 Eastern, 6:45 Central. So it's this area of rotation, the reds and the greens close together if you want to stop looping it now. If we want to zoom out a little bit and then get another storm track on it. North Judson, it's right over you now. You'll be in the all clear in about 10 minutes. A little more east. There we go. Toto 6:30, Knox 6:34, West 7:46, Polk at 6:49, and then getting into La Paz in southern St. Joe County at about 7:55. This is really the only storm of concern. Everything else is just kind of linear. This is the only area of rotation. Going to continue to monitor that. I'm going to switch over to the North Webster radar here on my tablet to see what's going on over here. That area of rotation, it doesn't look as impressive just looking at it from North Webster, but that's because the radar beam is higher. Since it's farther away, we'll get a better look at it as it gets closer to Knox, especially as it gets into portions of northern Marshall County. No damage reports, nothing confirmed still, right? Control room in Zoe?
Yes, as far as I've seen, nothing.
Okay. So that's some good news there. I don't think there's a CC drop Webster. I would be surprised if there is.
No.
That's a lot of noise. If we want to switch back over to velocity there. So continuing to track an area of rotation right over North Judson. That'll continue to lift off to the north and east. Toto, you got about 3 minutes. Knox, it'll be here within the next 10 minutes at 6:34. Then into Marshall County. West at 7:46, Polk 7:49, and the Paz at 7:55. This is really, again, the only storm of concern that we're tracking. Everything else has been rather tame, staying sub-severe for the most part. Valpo, we were spared just because it stayed rainy and dreary all day. We said leading up to this, it really depended on how much sunshine we would see. A lot of the sun stayed to our south, and so the severe weather threat has stayed higher to the south. This area of circulation continuing to inch its way closer to Knox. Everybody in Knox should be in their safe place. I wouldn't be shocked if they extend this into Marshall County, just out of respect for it. Going to be an interesting call to see what North Webster decides to do here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. The warning set to expire at 6:45 Central, 7:45 Eastern. Nothing confirmed on the ground with this storm. It's just radar indicated, but we're going to continue to track this out as it continues to lift off to the north into the east. Zoe, anything that you're seeing right now?
No, nothing really, anything else, because like you said earlier, if you just flip over back to activity, the rain, mainly for us, it's pretty much done. It's just this heavier blob of rain off to our west and southwest. That'll kind of make its way over here in the next little bit. So it's going to be raining in Valpo for the next while. The rest of the line is pretty much it's going to be more of a straight line wind threat for us up here. And like we've been kind of talking about for the last probably half hour, 40 minutes, this area of concern and rotation here near Knox that is continuing to move off to the north and east. It's going to actually probably be in Knox in the next little bit. So in the next couple of minutes, it should be near Knox at about 6:33. In the next 4 minutes in Knox, and then over into Oregon by 6:42. Polk by 7:48, and then Eastern time, and then into La Paz by 7:54. Still nothing. There's still been no CC drop, which is good. They are continuing the severe thunderstorm warning until 8 Eastern in Knox. So that is I'm not surprised with that. Mason, are you seeing anything? Are you getting any updates?
Not really. I was just checking some of the text. A lot of the chatter is still for the severe weather threat unfolding really over the deep south right now. A lot of supercell thunderstorms. That line continuing, and new tornado warning now including the city of South Bend for this storm.
Oh.
So here we go. Tornado warning now for portions of Stark, Marshall, LaPorte, and St. Joe County, Indiana. Does not include downtown South Bend proper, but includes the southern portion of South Bend, as the storm will continue to lift off to the north and to the east here over the next hour or so. Nothing confirmed, but again, I think the right call here. Shift that a little more. There we go. So getting into Oregon, 6:40, Polk, 7:46, North Liberty in southern St. Joe County, 7:51, Greene, 7:57. If this continues on the northward track and doesn't wobble to the east any, South Bend after 8 o'clock. If we want to switch back over to reflectivity now,
Yes.
just get an idea of what this line is looking like. Okay. So we now have stuff beginning to fire out ahead of the main line. That might choke off the circulation in Stark County. So that is good news, as everything is just turning into one big convective mess. There's a blob of rain and storms. which is a good thing because that'll take away any energy that has out ahead of it, as these storms ahead of the circulation will just take away the energy that there is to work with. If we want to time this leading edge out off the north and east,
this
sort of
bit
over
from
towards
South
Goshen
Bend,
and
Goshen.
Bristol. I'm from that area, and I'm
So you're gonna go
mispronouncing
from
things.
South Bend down here and then out?
Yeah, there we
Okay.
go. Okay, so South Bend, it's raining pretty hard there now. Getting into Concord, 7:49. That's Dunlap, Goshen, 7:55. Three Rivers, Michigan, 8:12, and then 8:22 in Sturgis. I don't think this severe weather threat is really going to extend into Michigan much, just because the warm front has stayed in Indiana all day, really hasn't wandered that far north. So I think the severe weather threat is highest south of the Indiana-Michigan state line, with the highest tornado threat being along and south of US 6. So that's a line from basically this tip of Stark County to Bremen to Napanee over towards the radar site here. The tornado threat is highest along and south of there. That tornado warning for South Bend, it's radar indicated, moving at 70 miles an hour. So this guy is booking it. It's still pretty wound up if we want to switch over to velocity.
Yep.
Yeah.
There it is.
You can see the reds really curling around, and then you have the greens swirling back in there. So it's taking more of a northward path. That doesn't necessarily surprise me, but as this strengthens, it likes to turn to the right. That's what it did in Rensselaer. It was moving practically due north, and then once the couplet strengthened, it moved to the right, went right over Rensselaer, and then into Stark County. This will continue to lift off the north and east. So Knox, you should be in your safe place. Moving off towards Hamlet, that's basically where US 30 and Highway 35 meet, and then that'll continue off northeastward. Going to be interesting to see if they continue any severe thunderstorm warnings in association with the main line. Behind it, that main line is also catching up to the storm, so we'll see how much longer this guy is able to hold on. Yeah, it's pulling off.
Yeah, it's starting to.
There's the main line, continues to catch up to it. So I think once this storm gets overtaken by the main line, the tornado threat will begin to die down. But until then, we have an active tornado warning for northern Stark County, portions of northwestern Marshall County, north central St. Joe County, and extreme southeastern LaPorte County until I think it's 8:15.
8:15 sounds right.
Okay. 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Close enough.
There we go.
For that circulation, it's held on for a while. Went through Rensselaer about 45 minutes or so ago.
Yeah, almost an hour.
And it's continued to speed up as it does. I wouldn't be shocked if something begins to spin up sort of south of Knox, just because there's a new kink in the line if we switch over to reflectivity.
Yes.
You can kind of see it. You have the little notch there, and then you're beginning to see it there. The new circulation would start right where that maroon is. Nothing yet.
Nothing on there yet, no.
They have now extended the tornado watch eastward, so now, give me a moment, I'll read that in a second. Zoe, if you want to time out that second of the line.
Yes. Let me just get a little bit south. A little bit more. There we go. So it's looking like it'll be near Winnemac now, basically now, and then areas like Culver in about 10 minutes, Plymouth about 7:50, Argos by about 8, and then a little after 8 over there in Bourbon.
And this is if it continues on the path that it is now. As
Yes.
this line has continued to move, it's kind of shifted more to the north, so this very well could change. The tornado watch has been extended eastward for St. Joe County, Indiana, Adams, DeKalb, Jay, Steuben, Allen, Elkhart, LaGrange, Wells, Blackford, Huntington, Noble, and Whitley. So, I mean, basically just adding St. Joe, Elkhart, LaGrange, Noble areas towards Fort Wayne, which is over here.
Yes.
Until 11 o'clock Eastern. Tornado watch remains in effect for us here in Valpo until 10 o'clock. I think they'll probably let that go in the next half an hour,
yeah,
45
I would say
minutes
probably
or so.
by like 7:30 they should let it go.
So storms continuing to fire out ahead of this. I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually the warm front. Lots and lots of lightning. These storms right here, they're not severe, but they're going to be very, very noisy. So Bremen, Lakeville, Gulliver Park, Bourbon, Etna Green, you're probably getting a lot of lightning right now, and it's super noisy. These storms aren't severe, but what's behind it is. The area of concern continues to be in Stark County. If we want to switch back over to velocity here, it's definitely more broad. I think this is beginning to start to bow out. It's just not as tight of a couplet, Zoe, if you want to loop like the last 45 minutes or so.
Yes.
If you want to change that so we can
we
compare it to where it was. You can see how
it
was really tight. We were getting kind of nervous for Knox. It's weakened some. That doesn't mean it won't spin up again, but at least for the time being, the rotation is a little more broad. I wouldn't be surprised if this southern storm there starts to take over, which is just to the south of Knox over Bass Lake. So this will continue to lift off to the north and east. This one actually looks like it might be bowing out a little more to the east right now. So, but a tornado warning still in effect until 8 o'clock for Lakeville, La Paz, Walkerton, Kankakee, North Liberty, Knox, Tyner, Kuntz Lake, Hamlet, those areas, as the storm continues to lift off to the north and to the east. Once this storm basically clears US 31, we'll kind of wrap things up here as our severe weather threat is basically over here in Valpo. If we want to switch back over to our regular old radar.
Yes. There we go. With the exception of that, it's pretty blobby out to the west. It's just
if you want to zoom out a little bit just to sort of get an idea of what's behind it. Once this moves through, you're done with severe weather here for the northern portion of the state. If we want to scroll down towards Indy, the radar should adjust. This part of the line is about to be a concern for Indianapolis, Kokomo, Peru, Lafayette, Muncie. This is where the tornado threat is higher. They've seen more sun. They're warmer. Temperatures near 80 degrees. Dew points in the mid to upper 60s. The atmosphere is definitely more primed down here. They didn't have as much rain today. But going ahead and talking about our northern storm once again, if we want to take a look back at that. Continuing to track off to the north and to the east here. If we want to switch over to velocity, it's just
getting hard to look at.
Not a lot there. I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
But it's not as tight as it was 10, 15 minutes ago. As that continues to move off to the northeast. Not really much of a northward component with this anymore. It's kind of moving off more east as this part of the line continues to bow out. We want to track this off.
No.
That's a little okay.
bit
It might be a little more north than this.
Hold on, let me just try it again. Is that good?
There we go.
All right.
Getting into La Paz at 7:52. They're in Eastern time. German, that's Bremen at 7:59. Napanee 8:07. Concord 8:17, and then Middlebury at about 8:30. If this holds together, this part of the state saw more sunshine. Let me step off for a minute. I'll check temperatures here, see if we have warmed any over there. We broke 60 degrees here in Valpo, barely. Well, actually, I take that back. 69 degrees in Valpo. I mean,
wow.
Our severe weather threat is basically over now as the main line has passed. Plymouth continues to warm. I expect Goshen will do that after that initial lifting of storms rolls through. but the atmosphere is just so worked over in the northern part of the state just from all of the morning rain and storms. The severe weather threat continues just to sort of lower. Despite the severe weather threat lowering, we have that active tornado warning for portions of northern Stark, northwestern Marshall, and north central St. Joe. Zoe, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, let's take a look. It's starting to get caught up with the line, like Mason was saying earlier. But it's going to continue on moving that way. That's not what I wanted to do. Thankfully, it doesn't look like there's any much of a CC drop either, which is a good thing, but it is starting to get closer to the radar. But it is looking like it's starting to bow out more. So I think up here, at least, especially off to our west, here in Valpo, we're done. Our severe weather threat is over. It's just some rain that's kind of been sticking around for the better part of probably 45 minutes or an hour, give or take, right, Mason?
Yeah, basically, it's really held together.
Yes.
But it's beginning to show signs of weakening. That's just because it continues to move away from all of that warm, moist air that it needs to keep itself going. I think it's probably getting north of the warm front, if that leading edge of storms that's getting into western Elkhart County right now. If that isn't the warm front, it probably is north of it already. But again, we should be very thankful that the sun did not come out today, because portions of the Mid-South are getting absolutely rocked right now. There are numerous tornadoes on the ground down there in eastern Arkansas. So continuing to track out this area of rotation, it's just not there.
It's not there, yeah.
But then again, I've been saying this for the last half an hour or so. I think we're beginning to transition over towards a damaging wind event, away from a tornado event here, just as it's outrunning all of its energy. Still some broad rotation associated with this as it continues to lift off to the north and to the east. I don't know that this will impact South Bend itself. It might stay just barely to the south. But it'll continue to lift off to the north and east. The severe weather threat for Valpo continuing to lower, just because we're behind the main line, despite being near 70 degrees now. There's just not any energy to work with. If we want to scroll back over our direction here, and we're just on like the back edge of the rain. Even if we want to zoom out a little, there's nothing redeveloping behind this. Just the atmosphere is worked over after this initial round of storms. We want to switch back over to velocity and near Kuntz Lake again.
There it is.
I mean, there it is. Broad, but there, and very weak. That'll continue to lift off to the northeast. La Paz, it'll be near you in about 10 minutes or so. This is going to stay north of Plymouth. And then it'll be off to Lakeville, Bremen, another 5-10 minutes after that. So severe weather threat beginning to lower across the northern tier of the state. That's just due to all of the rain and clouds that we've seen most of the day today. Everybody generally below 60 degrees. We broke 60 here in Valpo as that warm front just lifted through. Okay, we also have a report out of Madairyville, to the west of there in Jasper County, a 54-mile-an-hour wind gust. There, we also had a report a while ago when that circulation was tight southwest of North Judson of a wall cloud. So, I mean, even if there wasn't a tornado on the ground, it at least had a lowering on it, and you still haven't seen anybody of any damage out of Rensselaer, anything in the path of that circulation, have you?
No, not yet. But
Okay.
I would assume that they would be coming in shortly.
And they have extended a severe thunderstorm warning now, if we want to zoom out a little bit and go back over to regular radar. Severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for portions of north central Elkhart County, St. Joe County, northwestern Fulton, northeastern Pulaski County, northern Kosciuszko County, eastern Stark, Marshall County, and portions of LaPorte County now until 9 p.m. Eastern. So this line continuing to lift away from us here in Valpo. A strong line of thunderstorms was located along a line from near Kingsford Heights, which is like in here, down to Culver to near Winnemac, moving northeast at 60. 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts and half-dollar-sized hail. The main threats, again, I haven't heard any hail reports out of this, so I don't really think there's any hail in here. If anything, it'd probably be a pea-sized to a nickel. And they did also include the tornado possible tag, just because with all of the wind shear and the spin that we have in the atmosphere, it's not going to take much to spin something up. So I would treat this severe thunderstorm warning as a tornado warning. So I'd go ahead, get into your most interior room of your house, whether that's a closet or a bathroom, or head to the basement if you have one, just to be safe. The main threat with this line is 70-mile-an-hour damaging straight line winds. And now that I've said I haven't seen any hail reports, there was a hail report coming out of Stark County, northwest of Knox, under an inch, about 3/4 of an inch. So again, I don't really think hail is going to be a main threat with this line. I think it's really just a damaging wind event at this point. As this line continues to bow out, we want to go ahead and switch over to velocity, see if we're seeing anything.
No.
Not really. I mean, even that's nothing.
Yeah, it's not really much of anything.
Or if we want to just, instead of doing storm relative, if you want to switch over to a regular velocity. We have some winds near 60 miles per hour, moving into Marshall County near 65, right along the Stark-Marshall County border, sort of right in here where those bright greens are, as this line continues to lift off to the north into the east. Severe weather threat, again, once this line passes you, your severe weather threat is over for the evening. No real signs of rotation with this line anymore. About this time an hour ago, there was a pretty nice couplet rolling through Rensselaer. That has since weakened. If you want to go ahead and switch back to storm relative.
Yeah.
What's left of it is up here, and that's even a stretch. Again, transitioning over to a damaging wind event. Once this clears out, we're going to stay on until this tornado warning expires for portions of Stark County, and then we'll kind of wrap things up as our severe weather threat has really ended here in Valpo. Again, we stayed kind of rainy and cool all day. That stabilized the atmosphere, didn't really give the storms any juice to work with here. And the severe weather threat stayed off to our south and to our east over portions of the state that saw sunshine. So these storms continue to move into a more favorable environment. Wouldn't be shocked if there's another brief tornado warning or two. Oh, there was thunder here at the station. I don't know if our mics caught that, but the lights were just rattling here in the station. I don't think we're going to lose power this time, though, so we won't be
now you said that into
rudely
existence.
interrupted. I'm okay with speaking that into existence because I'm looking at this and I'm going, what wind?
I agree.
So tornado warning continuing for portions of Stark, Marshall, LaPorte, and St. Joe counties in Indiana for another 10 minutes. It'll expire at the top of the hour.
So they're letting that expire. They're not extending it?
Going to extend
Okay.
it. Okay.
Got it.
If we want to switch over to reflexivity, Goshen, It's probably getting loud over there. This initial wave of storms, I think this is probably working everything over for these guys behind it, so I wouldn't be surprised if the main line of storms weaken as things fire ahead of it. These guys are subsevere. What is severe is this line extending from North Liberty to Plymouth down to Winnemac, and you can see how it's kind of taking this backward C shape as it's bowing out. That kind of tells me that's transitioning to a damaging wind event across portions of north central Indiana. Want to switch back over to velocity? I mean,
Yeah.
there's some
Where's this?
broad rotation. It's not super impressive there. Not saying that it can't spin up again. It spun up a little bit again across portions of Stark County, but I really think they're probably going to let this warning expire in 8 minutes and just leave the severe thunderstorm warning with that tornado possible tag. And again, areas that are in that severe thunderstorm warning, that's South Bend, Elkhart, Goshen, Wakarusa, Napanee, Warsaw, Mentone, Bourbon, Plymouth, Argus. It's just north of Rochester until 8 o'clock Eastern. There in that Eastern time zone as this line continues to push off to the northeast. Moving rather quick at about 60 to 70 miles an hour, so you only have about really half an hour, 45 minutes or so before this line is upon you. If we want to switch back over to reflectivity, and Zoe, if you want to time this part of the line here out, and give our friends over there in Goshen an idea for when. So German, that's Bremen. Why German pops up and Bremen doesn't, beyond me. At 8 o'clock, Napanee 8:10, Dunlap 8:16, Goshen 8:20, Middlebury 8:28. I know it's Wednesday night. A lot of you are probably going to be on your way home from church. I would just hold in place until this line passes, because you're not going to want to be driving in this here in the next 15, 20 minutes. If we want to switch back over to reflectivity, we have a new velocity. We have a new tornado warning for this southern part. It's not showing up well here. If we want to zoom in, sort of right where the road kind of does a little stair thing.
Yes.
New tornado warning now including Argus, Bourbon, Edna Green. This is aimed right at Warsaw, so Grace College, heads up, as this is going to ride State Road 10 as this line continues to bow off. It doesn't really show up well here. There's a little bit of circulation on radar here that'll lift off to the east-northeast along State Road 10 if you want to time that out, kind of lifting off this general direction. This should stay just to the north of Warsaw. Argus, it's going to be on top of you in about 5 minutes. Bourbon, 8:18. Edna Green, 8:12. Plain, 8:24. And then Barbie at 8:30. So again, this tornado warning for portions of southern Marshall County. They're continuing the tornado warning, but they're probably going to let that expire at 8 o'clock, leaving the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag for that northern circulation, basically right on top of the pass, just south of Lakeville. That'll continue to lift off to the north and east, getting into Wakarusa here in probably 20 minutes, and then Goshen in another probably 10 minutes after that, so closer to 8:30 Eastern. Any reports or anything that you're seeing, Zoe?
No, not yet, I think.
Okay.
Not that I've seen in the last 5 minutes or so, no.
Okay. If we want to go ahead, switch back over to regular radar, we can look at the central portion of the state for a little bit, and then we'll probably wrap things up and head out of here in about 10-15 minutes once that tornado warning clears Marshall County. So this part of the line is going to be the one that'll impact Indianapolis. There are numerous tornado warnings right now lined up just to the west of Terre Haute. Nothing confirmed on the ground there. Actually, I take that back. Confirmed tornado on the ground near Wallow Hill, Illinois. That's southwest of Terre Haute. If that continues on the track that it is now, it would be near Bloomington if it holds together. So our friends in the central and southern portions of the state are going to have a long night ahead of them, as their severe weather threat won't end until probably after midnight tonight, as this front really begins to slow down. For us here in the northern portion of the state, it's going to be loud, but I think our severe weather threat is really decreasing minute by minute here. But we have 2 active tornado warnings. We want to switch back over to velocity. The tornado warning continues sort of for this. It's really broad. They're not going to continue it into Elkhart County. That will be allowed to expire in about 3 minutes. And then there's another little area just where this green kind of brightens up south of Plymouth. That'll continue to move off to the north and east. Should stay north of Warsaw and Grace College there. It might be a little close for Milford and the radar site in North Webster, as that'll continue to move off to the north and east as time rolls on. But we have tornadoes galore across the Mid-South right now in that high-risk area where they saw all kinds of sunshine today. Again, our severe weather threat has been relatively low just because we've been stuck in the clouds and the cool drizzle all day today. We want to switch back over to reflectivity here. Got the initial round of storms lifting through right now. Goshen, it's probably really loud. Middlebury, it's about to get loud. Sub-severe, it's this line behind it that is the main concern. The main threat now with the line, a spin-up tornado or two. We already have 2 tornado warnings, one from the northern part of the line, then another south of Plymouth, and then just lots of lightning. And then areas that are also, where the storms are just moving over the same areas, might have a little bit of a flooding threat as well as the evening goes along, as these storms are really just moving over the same areas that they've already rolled over. If we want to time out sort of this section of the line off to sort of the north and east. Rochester, you got 2 minutes. They're in the Eastern time zone. Concord, 8:15. Goshen, 8:21. Newberry, 8:35. Sturgis is 8:47. This line really beginning to take more of a backward C shape to it, or a bow echo, as this line continues to bow out. The severe weather threat really going down after this line passes. Valpo, the rain is actually going to come to an end soon. You can see the little gap there just to our southwest. Tornado warning again continuing for portions of southern Marshall County. We want to switch back over to velocity. You can't really see it from afar. You got to get close in on it, and it's really just this.
I can't even really see it that well.
You can't really see it well. It's there. This will continue to lift off to the northeast. Bourbon, you need to be in your safe place right now, and that'll continue to lift into Kosciuszko County. Edna Green, you should be in your safe place. And then the next town down the line would be Leesburg, and then the radar site, if it holds together. So this will continue to lift off to the north and east, moving at 70 miles an hour. So it's zipping right along. If you want to time that out. Bourbon, 8:07, so you got 7 minutes there. Gwinnett, 8:18, and then Leesburg at 8:22. I think we're going to begin to wrap up our coverage here as just the line continues to bow out. Again, severe weather threat, we're in the all clear here in Valpo. The line has passed us. If we want to scroll back over towards us.
Yep.
Have some wraparound rain, might have some heavier rain move in from the south. But again, once this line has passed you, your severe weather threat is over for the evening. Areas to the south, you had some rough weather. Circulation right over Rensselaer continued over towards North Judson to Knox, and then really began to weaken as it got north of US 30, probably north of the warm front even. And that'll continue to lift off to the north and east. Cooler tomorrow, but again, our severe weather threat is over. And thankfully, there's no real severe weather threat on the horizon here the next 5 days, so we can kind of catch our breath. Areas that still don't have power in Valpo, you can get your power back and not have to worry about it getting knocked off again. But if we want to go ahead and scroll back over to that active tornado warning in Marshall County and switch back over to reflectivity. What in the world is
I don't
going
know
on?
what happened. I really hope that's just because we're switching radars.
Probably.
I
I
don't
think
know why it's like that, but
tripping
let's see.
on something.
Yeah, it's tripping. It's tripping.
And there really isn't an identifiable circulation. If there is one, it's sort of right there. That'll continue to lift off to the north and to the east. There are no real kinks in the line elsewhere. So this is transitioning away from a tornado event again to a straight line wind event. Could have a couple spin up tornadoes like we've had already this evening. But that's about it. Zoe, I don't know if you want to get on the desk. We'll kind of just wrap things up.
We
here
could get
in a
on the
second.
desk if you'd like, or we could just kind of wrap it up like this. Either way.
But again, severe weather threat ending here in Valpo. We'll wrap things up here in the next 5 minutes as soon as that tornado warning expires near Bourbon. Severe weather threat again over for Valpo, LaPorte, Michigan City, Knox, North Judson, Winnemac, just because this line has moved off to your east and will continue to do so. If we just want to go ahead, current temperatures here, 65 degrees in Valpo. Plymouth, you made it to 66. South Bend sitting at 62 degrees. Goshen, you're out ahead of the storm still. It's probably loud. You have those leading storms coming through right now, 59 degrees. Rochester hasn't rained yet there, sitting at 72 degrees. And then again, still sitting in the mid 60s behind the rain. Temperatures won't crash until well after midnight. We'll have another mild day tomorrow. In fact, and this is just the radar centered in on Valpo, that tornado warning again continuing for Bourbon, and it's actually beginning to tighten up again.
Great.
If we want to zoom back in on that, wouldn't be shocked if they continue that into Kosciuszko County, but that's not really our concern. That's South Bend market's concerned, and if there is a rotation, it's going to be right here. It shows up better on what I have in my hand, but that'll continue to lift off to the north and east through Bourbon, and then eventually up towards Leesburg, which is right south of the Indiana 15 road sign. Nothing confirmed on the ground, just radar indicated. Moving east at 60 miles an hour, so this is probably just going to ride right along where it is right now. Should stay north of Warsaw, but it's going to be close if it moves more to the east. Only missing you by just a hair, if you want to time that out, basically. Straight line. Etna, 810, Atwood, 813, Clinette, 817, Plain, 822, and then 825, Belroar Park, there in portions of eastern Kosciuszko County. Still not seeing any damage reports other than that one wind gust report at 54 miles an hour. Another wind report in southern Newton County when that line rolled through a while ago. That was severe, 58 mile an hour wind gusts there in southern Newton County. But by and large, not a whole lot of reports. Some pea-sized hail in and around Plymouth also being reported as this line rolls through. Again, I don't think hail is a big threat. I think it's mainly damaging winds and lots of lightning. And then again, these sort of whack-a-mole tornadoes that spin up along the line. The tornado warning will probably be continued into Kosciuszko County, but again, that's not our concern. If we want to take this off and scroll up just a little bit, it's beginning to, I wouldn't be surprised if we have the beginnings of something trying, just because that's what the other one did. West of Wakarusa, this will lift off to the northeast, so heads up Goshen, Dunlap, Elkhart. At least some stronger winds are going to roll through 50, 60, maybe 70 miles an hour as this line rolls through. But again, after this line passes, your severe weather threat is done for the evening, and it transitions over to more heavy rain. You want to switch back over to reflectivity
Mm.
and zoom out a little bit. You can see that notch there down by Bourbon. That'll continue to lift off to sort of the east-northeast. That'll be on the center line for North Webster. But again, the severe weather threat for Valpo is low. I think I'm going to step off here, Zoe, if you want to talk for a minute, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah, I'm not seeing much of anything besides that stuff that's heading out of that area near that south little corner of St. Joe County. Other than that, I'm not really seeing much of anything else, just tornado threat-wise. I think it's going to be a straight-line wind threat from here on out, especially with the way that it's starting to bow out. Especially for here in Valpo, I think we're pretty much, it's just going to be kind of rain the rest of the night. Some of that stuff's just sticking around. But other than that, I think that's all I have to say. So
Yeah, so this line, if we wanted to do just one last track from like here to here, and then just move that off to the north and east like that, this will be
there we
sort
go.
of wrapping up things. So Concord there on the south side of Elkhart, 812, Sturgis, 841, Kendallville, 848, Fayette at 922, and then Hillsdale at 923. The light's flickering here, not sure what that's causing it, unless there's just some strong winds behind the line. We're not going to lose power, Valpo. Not that I've said that one.
Mason, you did this last time.
And it's flickering again. So
We should probably wrap this up. That might be a sign that we're done.
I'm going to take that
Let's
as
go.
a
Come
sign
on.
from up above that we're supposed to wrap things
Yeah,
up.
with
This line
that.
will continue to move away from us. Severe weather threat. Again, we're in the all clear here. Valpo, Rensselaer, LaPorte, South Bend, Benton Harbor. The severe weather threat is pretty much over for the evening. Timing the rest of the evening out, I mean, here's 8 o'clock. Might even have some clearing in store. Maybe some more clouds just from the storms to the south, and then we clear off. And just quiet weather, a mix of sun and clouds the next couple of days before our next weather maker rolls in this weekend. Temps sitting at 64 now, so we'll cool slightly here in the next hour and a half or so. And then we really don't cool until tomorrow morning, and then we park it near 50 before a cool start Friday for you. Timing the rest of the evening, hour by hour, slowly falling to near 60 degrees by midnight, 1 o'clock. Front rolls through, and that'll take us down to the 50s. Ignore the thunderstorm sign at 5, 6, 7 a.m. I don't think that will happen.
No.
7-day forecast. High temperature for tomorrow, that's going to be reached right around midnight. We really just kind of park it in the 50s for a couple days. Rainy Saturday in store. Cool Monday, 37 degrees, and then it looks like we end on a warm-up streak.